What's up, guys? Welcome back to Let's Play Basara 3. Wow, okay. So, no more Mori, so it looks like we're gonna have to take out Kanbe Kuroda in this episode. And that'll be our final fight before Sekigahara, so that's pretty exciting.
Magoichi, let's get a move on.
Let us make one thing clear, Mitsunari. You may work us as hard as you like and expect us to do anything you ask. But know this, you can never rely on us. We are mercenaries and our minds are
Magoichi,
not
speak
yours
up.
to control.
Why not? Any man who falls in my service will be the treasured possession of Lord Hideyoshi. And there is nothing wrong with hoarding one's treasure.
And you say
shut
this
up.
from the heart?
I have never spoken any other way. I do not ever lie.
Mitsunari, you are an interesting man, to say the least.
She's just like, I'm so done with you. Anyway, so yeah, unfortunately we're locked into fighting Kanbe Kuroda. No more options for us. Kenshin got taken out there.
Kanbe, I'm quite enjoying this trip down memory lane. This is like Odawara all over again.
I don't see how these mines are going to be anything like Odawara, but okay, whatever. So it's at this point, you know, I get to say, here we go, it's Magoichi Saika versus Kanbe Kuroda, and then people who only watched the anime, the good anime rather, the ones that actually count, not Judge End, would be like, who the hell are these characters? Because it's two brand new characters for Basara 3 that were part of, like, heavily part of the marketing and the trailers and everything for Basara 3, so they've got to be, the game's got to care a lot about them, and to be honest, I haven't actually played as Kanbe Kuroda, and I would be willing to give it a shot. I mean, he seems interesting. I just imagine he would be slow, and slow is kind of a deal breaker in Musou games, hence why I didn't really play as Iskander or even Karna in Extella, even though I will probably go back and finish their side stories eventually because I'm obsessed with that game. And in the context of Basara, I can't think of a really slow character that I didn't like. Even Shimatsu I thought about playing as a little bit in Basara 1. All the movement and combat in Basara has this sort of heavy momentum feel to it, where it's like once you get your combos started, you have this sort of kinetic energy from your attacks. It just continues to pile up as you attack, and it just transitions into your enemies like that. It's hard to explain until you actually have played it, like the unique feel that it has. But it's good. It's a good feeling. So, making sure to use the rocket launcher to try to take out these command posts before we get too close to them, like I've explained. Again, really just taking advantage of Magoichi's full combat sandbox now. So to talk a little bit about Kanbe Kuroda's stage again, this is the second time we'll be showing it off, and hopefully the last. So we have all these checkpoints we have to get through that are blocked with debris, so we have to bring in demolitions guys with massive, ridiculous cartoon bombs to blow the debris out of the way for us. So obviously we are going to be mining today, and we made sure to bring the TNT. So you'll see on the map there we have a unit that's carrying the freakishly large cartoon bomb on their back, and we have to protect them until they get to the drop zone and actually use it. So quick mention right there, when you first draw out Magoichi's rocket launcher, that little kick that she does that draws it out can actually knock back enemies, which actually helped me right there, because if that guy hit me, he probably would have canceled the animation of me firing the rocket launcher. One thing to be careful of in this map is, as you can see, there's another path that goes through here that's sort of the, I think it's the minecart rail that goes through the other side of the map, as you can see there. And occupational chiefs and other command units will come through that way to try to capture your command post back, and it's really aggravating. So we're gonna have to just be wary of that and make sure not to lose any of our posts after the fact, which can happen, especially because the final barrier between us and the sort of sub boss right before Kanbe Kuroda has unfortunately, what is that, 5 health bar notches there we have to get rid of before it'll actually destroy the debris entirely. Let me go ahead and use my Basara attack here. There were a lot of boulder throwing enemies over here, which makes sense being that we're in a mine.
This is our way.
Yeah, if there's any faction that was prepared for this battle, it was the Saika faction, because obviously she has plenty of explosives and probably TNT as well, so she's like, we gotta blast our way through the mines? Sure, sounds like fun. They're just gonna come at us with pickaxes, as you can see, which are probably not ineffective weapons. A lot of the weapons that we see in a lot of Asian culture are actually, you know, started out as repurposed garden tools and things like that. These guys have pitchforks. Yeah, you know, obviously pitchforks are repurposed garden tools and things like that. Your cliche, like, ninja weapons, like sais and things like that, are repurposed garden tools, obviously. Sights as well are repurposed garden tools. Like, the list goes on, but that doesn't mean they would be an ineffective weapon. One of my favorite YouTubers that I watch is a guy, I believe he's called Scalagrim, and he talks about historical sword fighting and historical replicas of weapons from history, and he talks about what weapon would you give to somebody who had really no training if you were just trying to arm, you know, so if you had to, you know, cause an uprising and you're like, everybody get a weapon, everybody go fight, you know, what weapon would you give them? And you probably give them something like a spear or a polearm. So random villagers picking up a spear or a pitchfork, it makes perfect sense to me. But I feel like even a pickaxe would not be an ineffective weapon, because it could probably puncture armor, and you could probably use it to hook swords and things like that out of people's hands. Very much similar to how a proper battle axe does, or a, you know, even a hammer, a war hammer, is able to, you know, puncture armor, and you can use the spikes for that reason, and you can use it to hook away weapons and shields from your enemies. Of course, shields are not really used too much here in Japan. We have the pike formations that use the drop-down shields, but other than that, we don't really see that type of combat very much. It's usually just a very organized thing. The average foot soldier is not carrying around a buckler, necessarily, which I wonder if they had the choice, would they have done that? I'm sure it was just the availability of resources during these battles, but if they could have wielded a buckler, would they have done so? So unfortunately, as you can see here, we lost that command post at that junction there, which I figured we would by all those enemies coming back through there. But thankfully, because we captured that one all the way up there in the corner by where the mine cart rail starts, we have a new spawn point for the demolition units, so we can just kind of wait for them to come from a much shorter distance. Hopefully this will go much better than it did when I was playing as Mitsunari. Unfortunately, I have to backtrack all the way over here in order to try to recapture this. But it doesn't look like I'll have much in the way of interference, so we should be okay. There's one occupational chief enemy that's running around over there. There's another engineer. Yeah, they're called engineers, are the guys with the bombs, which seems a little silly, but whatever, we won't question it. We will not question it at all. Instead, we'll use our grenades and try to take back this this command post again. I like how the names of the enemies here have unique the enemies have unique contextual details in this particular map. So that was a work site chief we saw there, and also the fact that the enemies have pickaxes and things like that is sort of like a callback to actually one of the criticisms that I had with Basara 1, and which is that, or I'm sorry, with Devil Kings, the awful English localized version of Basara 1, where they changed the enemies you were fighting into, like, different skins for, like, different cultures and fighting styles and things like that. So you had a bunch of, like, weird tribal, like, shaman-type characters with weird weapons that were not samurai at all. And it's like, what the hell is happening in this game? This is not even a map of Japan. If you guys have a choice, definitely play Basara 1 in the HD version. Do not play Devil Kings. Or if you have a modded PS2 or a Japanese PS2, play the original Sengoku Basara. I think the easiest way to do it is just to get the PS3 version because it's region free and you can you have all 3 of the original games in HD. But yeah, the fact that we have a different skin and appearance for the enemies we're fighting in this stage is actually awesome, and that's one of those things that I wish more Musou games would do. Berserk and the Band of the Hawk did enemy variety pretty well, frankly. There's more enemies I can even remember in that game. But in Fire Emblem Warriors, this is one of my criticisms from very early on, is that the enemy variety in Fire Emblem Warriors is very poor. There's no different skins, or the regular enemy foot soldiers are not detailed at all, really. So anyway, we're fighting this Drillatron here, which is some... I don't know. I don't even know at this point. I've tried to describe it before. It's some ridiculous underground drill mechanism, which we are not the least bit phased with. We do know it has a weak spot in the back, just like Motochika's contraptions, and so Magoichi should have no problem with this. We've seen these types of contraptions before. We know your tricks. So of course we're going to get up behind it and blast it with the shotgun, because you can watch the health bar just melt away. We should be able to keep him stun locked. No, oh, maybe we might be able to. Yeah, here we go. We should be able to keep him stun locked to where we can just destroy the whole thing. Yay! Throw a nice little kick into the air there. Another thing I like, I've mentioned many times how, depending on what move you use to use that particular weapon, she will remain with that weapon equipped. I really like how the machine gun looks in her hands like that, where she's running, and she's just kind of carrying it behind her. It looks like, you know, looks like she means business, and she just has no time to hold it the correct way. Like, she's just hauling ass.
Yeah, I know. It always seems to turn out this way for me. I'm positive my luck would be better.
Hey, Kanbe, your chain is it's 2D. We can kind of see the links are flat. So our Fury Drive gauge is full here, so we may be using that pretty soon. I don't think we've used that for a while, but obviously that can be really abusive against bosses with Magoichi, because you can just use the pistol and you can keep them like air juggled essentially. It's pretty abusive. We took out half of Kanbe Kuroda's health there with our Basara attack. And his gauge is full, so we're going to try to... Oh, the machine gun is actually really effective, too. It's just, he got pushed back so much by the machine gun, which is one of the characteristics of it. Okay, we may want to back up until he's done. There's a bunch of other enemies surrounding this battle arena that this boss fight takes place in. They're throwing in TNT. Oh, man, that was so cool! The way those rockets swirled in on him like that. He had no chance.
Your eyes and mind are as sharp as ever. A pity I couldn't convince you.
Wow. Okay. So that's it. On to Sekigahara.